about Bo Nix, because most of the season, or all season long, we've been saying Jane Daniels runaway rookie of the year, runaway. I think there could be an argument now that Bo Nix is entering chat now. I'm not saying he's the front runner right now, but certainly there's got to be a conversation about Bo Nix now in his last couple of weeks, especially to making a run here, and with Jane Daniels also tailing off a bit too, also due to injury. That I think Bo Nix should at least be considered Offensive Rookie of the Year. Your thoughts?
In no universe, when you're talking strictly candidacy, can you nix Bo at this point, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you a couple things worthy of consideration. By the way, Jane Daniels' situation, not necessarily a great one, but he has weapons. Scary Terry, at the receiver doing his thing.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson has some good weapons, some good surrounding cast. Probably the weakest O-line that's been with the Commanders in a long time, but still nonetheless, I mean, not a bad team. But by the way, the fact he's coming in as a quarterback of color to revitalize a franchise being associated with having a slur for a nickname. And yes, I'm air quoting slur because how much of a slur it is a point of controversy to some people,
right?
But the fact that he's coming in as a quarterback of color, I only bring that up because that's in the background and they're in the middle of trying to revitalize and revamp the image of that franchise, and yet they refuse to call themselves the Red Tails. That's a separate conversation of how stupid that was. But
it was
yeah. Well, we've talked about this plenty on this show and also the Student of the Game podcast. And listen, I had an actual PR person in the form of Karita Parks, the 3-point conversions, Karita Parks, and also a Bowie TV, who now covers the Ravens, but at the time she was covering the Red Tails. Sorry, Commanders. And I had her on as a PR exec and said how much of a missed opportunity. And I don't think she's agreed with me any harder on a topic than that. But let's get back on track. We don't want to nix Bo here. I get it that Sean Payton's the coach. It's argued that Jane Daniels has revitalized Cliff Kingsbury as the OC there with the Redskins with Dan Quinn as the head coach. Sorry, Red Tails. Sorry, yeah. Commanders. I'm a hot mess, EJ Christian.
Aren't you? Always.
But listen, I get my best inspiration from my favorite trumper, EJ Christian. Good job, Eagles Jaworski.
Don't be rude. Don't be rude.
Too late. But with with Payton, Sean Payton coaching the way that he is, that team getting production from players that were left for dead a while ago, looking at you, especially last night, Jerry Jeudy, right? In a division that isn't a power vacuum. Patrick LaVon Mahomes II, Travis Michael Kelsey, and Chris, soon-to-be middle name Guy Jones here. Who knows? Whether you know what? That might be something I do on the Huddle Up podcast here soon enough. I might actually present Chris Jones' name for 3-name treatment, but we'll get into that another time. You'll check that out on Tuesday nights. But, boy, that was a hell of a promo. Hashtag talent.
It really was. It was.
Bo Nix has to be in the conversation because he's in a tougher division, I think, right? We've talked about the power vacuum. Now, the Eagles have gotten their crap together of late. More on that later. For them to not look like they're falling apart the way they were maybe this time, call it 4 weeks ago, a month ago, right?
Yeah.
But the Broncos flirting with playoff contention, I think, was the ceiling for what Bo Nix and company can do. And these Humpy Bumpies, if they keep right, might actually make the damn thing. Now, granted, other AFC teams mightily disappointing are a factor looking at you, Cincinnati. More on that later. But this is good that you give me notes for this segment. I can drop more on that later than ever before. But
yeah, I like that. I like that.
The conversation, the point is, you can't nix Bo from the conversation. That's a fact of the case, man.
It's clear. It's a two-man race now. It's no longer a runaway for Jade Daniels at this point. I think we agree with that.
So
right now, I'll say for context purposes, real quick. Right now, as this morning, I'll give you what the betting markets are right now. Right now, Hard Rock has Jane Daniels minus 250 as the MVP, rookie of the year rather, and Bo Nix number 2 at plus 180. So it's tight. That'll be tightening up.
I'm not mad at it.
So The next guy in line is Brock Bowers and plus 1100. So it's a 2-man race here.
Brock Bowers, really?
That's my point.
We've already forgotten friggin' Malik Neighbors. I mean, I get why you forgot BTJ is because the Jacksonville Jaguars have forgotten quarterback. More on that later.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then also Marvin Harrison Jr. was getting his hype there too, and I mean, I'm sure that'll be a hell of a segue here soon enough.
Plus 10,000, but yeah, based on the betting markets, it has these are the two guys that right now.
I mean, listen, if you're a quarterback and you're making a team relevant, you're already in the fast track. That's duh, you know.
Both guys doing virtually the same thing on their respective teams right now.
But they're not. That's what I'm trying to tell you here, Ernest Christian. They're not the same thing, right? What's the competition in the NFC East? The Eagles.
The Eagles, right.
And they ain't no mo other than that, right? And still the fact that Daniels got injured is, let's be honest, his health is going to be the biggest stumbling block at this point, right?
Yeah, correct.
Whereas Bo Nix is battling Patrick LeVon Mahomes II, Justin Herbert, and okay, the Raiders blow. But Harbaugh is revitalizing the Chargers in similar fashion. As much as we talk about the NFC North as a division that's going to send 3 teams to the playoffs, you can't rule out the AFC West at this juncture because the South is sending 1 team, right?
Yep.
You know, the East is sending 1 team.
Oh, yeah.
We might live in a world where the rest of the teams come from the West and North.
Not the Raiders. Not the Raiders.
No, I don't mean the entire. I didn't mean to imply the entirety of the division. Okay. Again, may I once again reiterate that I in fact said just moments ago, the Raiders blow. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, did somebody put a blunt trauma to that shiny, sexy head of yours? What happened?
Well, right now the West, it looks like the rest of them take 3 teams, but more on that later because we're going to cover the locks of the playoffs right now.
Gosh, I need to stop doing that so much. That hurts when you do it after like the 5th time.
The later? Macho Man later?
Yeah. That's what she said. Fine. Shall we move on?
Obviously,
brother, it's gonna be later. Oh yeah, later. More on that later. Right?
Obviously, the game